Hello, I'm Carla Crutsinger, the founder of Brainworks. I'm going to talk to you about 3 different kinds of students. They're all smart, but they are not enjoying school. They're not living up to their potential. We're calling all 3 students twice exceptional. For short, that's called 2E. Student A is in the gifted program. Labeled gifted, is in gifted classes, probably from grade 1 through grade 5 or 6, doing fine because their giftedness is overriding any disabilities they may have. When they start middle school or high school, grades start dropping. They probably are going to hit the wall. That's because their disabilities are now overriding their giftedness. They may hit the wall after high school. This could be in college, it could be in graduate school, it could be in medical school. The problem is their giftedness has always covered their disabilities. Once they hit the wall, they're helpless. Student B is in regular classes. This person didn't get into the gifted program because it didn't score high enough. Now why? He's still smart, still gifted. The reason he didn't get in is because his disability was overriding his giftedness. Student C is labeled special ed. This person didn't get into the gifted program, didn't test high enough to get in the gifted program. Now student C is still gifted, but this person has many disabilities that's overriding what you would call his gifts or talents. Let's talk about some of the strengths that you would see in a twice exceptional child. The first one is exceptional vocabulary. They will start out using incredible words, and frankly, one of their favorite words is actually. Actually this or actually that, maybe at 2, and you'll go, where did that kid get that? Another thing about these students is that they're very creative. They play and they can imagine things far above what the average child can. They're really interested in unusual things. They're very curious. They want to know about everything. Why does the moon look so big when it's just coming up? Why do you have butterflies at this time of the year? They'll want to know what makes allergies. I mean, they want to know why to everything. These kids are quite interested in things that are not really related to school. It could be about dinosaurs. They want to know everything there is about rocks, dinosaurs. It could be anything. They want to go to museums. They want to learn everything there is about a dinosaur. Or it could be they're very interested in horses. It doesn't matter. They're interested in things that are not really related to school. They're going to have keen insights into complex issues, keen interest in things like global warming. It could be Ebola. What is this problem that's going on in Africa? Do I need to worry about it here? Do you have airplane crashes? What causes an airplane to crash? What happens if lightning hits the airplane? They see things more complex. It could be from a 6-year-old or it could be coming from a 4-year-old. They have a special talent. It could be piano. I mean, there are some kids that are actually unbelievable at a piano before they can even read. And they don't have to have music. They're playing by ear. That would be a special talent. That is a gift. Now, the thing I like the best about one of these characteristics, I love to be around these kids because they're so funny. These kids have a sophisticated sense of humor. They can make you laugh about the silliest of things. I mean, you could be looking at a worm on the ground and they'll make some comment that just cracks you up. You just can't help but laugh. The last thing that I want to tell you about is they love to be a problem solver. They like to take apart everything. What have you done to my clock? I just wanted to see how it would work. They don't always know how to put it back together. They have more fun taking it apart. Let's assume that all of these kids are going to be struggling. What is it that you have to do in order to be successful at school? Number 1, you've got to be able to read and comprehend. But you also need to be able to read at a certain speed. Let me give you an example. A 3rd grader should be reading 150 words per minute. At Brainworks, we're expecting 90% comprehension. And if you can't read very fast, then the teacher's going to think that you're not competent in your reading because your reading is so slow. That teacher's going to give you a little book compared to what the thicker book would be for a child that could read faster. That is below your vocabulary level. And you're going to say, if I keep having to read these baby books, I must be dumb and stupid. So that's the beginning of how your brain starts thinking about the fact that I am not capable of doing the work, and you can get seriously depressed from it. It's important for you to be able to keep up with your reading speed in school to be successful. Number 2, you need to be able to write and get your thoughts on paper. As you're thinking of your thoughts and you're writing, you need to finish it in the amount of time that the teacher has in mind for you to finish it. And if you don't finish, guess what? You don't get to go out for recess. The next thing that you need is language skills. You've got to have language in order to be able to get your needs met. You've got to be able to ask questions. You've got to be able to listen and comprehend what the words are saying. You've got to be able to use language in order to make and keep friends. You've got to organize your thoughts so you can write them on paper. Fourth, you need to have math skills. The people that I work with, they don't like to learn their math facts because it's boring. Flashcard after flashcard. They don't even want to do it. The main thing about math is you're expected to be able to do this in a timely fashion. And if you have a handwriting problem, their lines don't line up. They struggle with keeping their lines in a column. And the last thing that makes a big difference is it's just a fundamental assumption. You know, they're supposed to be able to sit in a chair, at a desk, be able to do their work, pay attention. That's easy. You ought to take that for granted. But not for the attention deficit disorder student. Their mind wanders. They think about things that they want to think about. They pay attention to things that are interesting to them. Otherwise, their mind might wander. What if all these things are happening to you? How do you think it'd make you feel? Frustrated. They can feel ashamed. They can feel embarrassed. They can feel angry. This makes them sad. They actually get depressed. And believe it or not, even in first grade, you can have some kids that are even thinking about life is not worth it. They really feel suicidal. What kind of behaviors do you think you would see at school or at home? Number 1, they stop trying. These kids may have strong opinions. They might argue with you. Sometimes they want to act like they're even smarter than you are. Another characteristic that you might see is they're very sensitive to criticism. They take it more seriously than they should. These students look lazy. Basically, what you're looking at looks like laziness, but you do not realize how much they're actually struggling in order to stay focused and accomplish what you're expecting them to do, either at school or for homework. They're just trying really hard, and it's sucking the energy out of them. This population also daydreams. They tend to daydream when you're talking about something that just flat doesn't interest them. Their mind can just wander off. Are you listening to me? You'll find that they're also impulsive. They could be disruptive. Now, what would disruptive be in a classroom? Well, this could be a kid that is the class clown. In other words, you say something, you're very serious. The kid in the classroom thinks it's hilarious, and so they make some comment and the entire class starts laughing. You're not really happy about the fact that that kid is actually taken over your classroom. What kind of grades do you think these students will have? It's called the yo-yo. 100, 0. 50, 100, 0. Maybe another 0. Maybe a 99, a 0. Why are you having all these zeros? Well, those zeros are all missing or late work. Well, now, how do they get missing or late work? Remember, this person's very smart, but they're so smart that they think they don't need to write anything down. Therefore, instead of remembering the assignment, they tend to forget. They forget that there was an assignment. They forget if they know that they had an assignment. They don't even know what it was because they never wrote down what the page was. If it's not in their brain, it's just gone. And as far as they're concerned, there was no homework. Now, once you mention projects, this becomes a major issue. A project is a long-term assignment, but for the A.D.D. student or one of these twice exceptional students, a project is anything that's not due tomorrow. Tomorrow would be a regular routine. So let's say today I assigned a project on Monday. It is due on Friday. When do you think the twice exceptional student's going to worry about the project? They'll worry about it on Thursday night. And their favorite thing to do is say, oh, I forgot. I have a project due tomorrow. And you're talking to your parents basically almost at bedtime. And the whole family gets in an uproar. The parents go into full gear. They go into a panic. They're going to help you this one time. They don't expect this ever, 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 ever again. And so they help you get this project and it gets in on time, and guess what? You do it again. Now, the last thing that I want to talk to you about is the handwriting. It's very typical for most of these students to have lousy handwriting. When I first started looking at my son's handwriting, I thought, well, my gosh, he's lazy. He is not working on making it so anybody can read what you're supposed to read. But they actually have a disability called dysgraphia. If they could fix it, they certainly would. The surprising thing about the twice exceptional student is they can do great in a class if they like that teacher. If they like the teacher or they like the subject, their grades are not going to be the yo-yos. Their grades are going to be way high because they connect with either the subject or the teacher. That's the way their brain operates. Do you think it's going to take any energy to work with these kids? Oh yes. It will suck the energy out of you, but you can't give up because this is our future. What needs to happen to turn around the twice exceptional world? There are 4 critical steps. The first thing you need to do is to test for their disabilities. You need to focus on correcting the problems as soon as possible. If they do have disabilities, you need to go to the counselor and ask for accommodations or modifications based on the Federal Disabilities Act. An example of this would be if you have a written report that's required, you could either videotape it or you could type it instead of handwriting it. The nice thing about testing, you suddenly have a name for what's going on. Up until this time, the child thinks, I'm going crazy. I must be so dumb, I must be so stupid, there's nothing that can be done to help me. Now you can focus on fixing it. Also, you're not alone, and that's another thing. Is what you want to know is that there are other people that have become successful, say with dyslexia or dysgraphia or attention deficit disorder. You need to be thinking about the fact that there are a lot of other people that have become successful. Once you have a diagnosis, you want to find somebody on the campus that can help you with things like roadblocks. If you run into a problem with a teacher, this counselor might be able to be an advocate for you. Another thing that might be helpful for you is that once you find out what your disability is, you go to the library and you find biographies that might be associated with you, like Einstein. He didn't talk until he was 4. Thomas Edison, he had a raging case of A.D.D. Ray Charles is blind, but did he become successful? You could have Steven Spielberg, dyslexia. There's a lot of people with disabilities, and you need to find out what it is that they did specifically to make it possible for them to be successful in life. Number 2, you need to find an academic coach, a person that really understands the gifted. This person needs to know what their social and emotional life's like. You need to teach them how to ask for help. You need to be an advocate for the person in terms of their strengths and not so much their disabilities. You need to be able to advocate for that child. This person is very gifted but also has disabilities. Keep in mind that this person is probably being bullied. Third, you need to keep a journal. I recommend all parents journal. And also, I talk to parents about taking this checklist that we give at Brainworks, and it looks at the child's behaviors all day long. You're looking about once every hour, and you're checking for a checklist of behaviors. And this is a perfect way to find out if they're on medication, is it actually working? Another thing for a journal is that you want to journal things that might be sleep issues. Does the medication affect sleep? Are you a person, if you're a typical A.D.H.D. person, your brain won't turn off like a light switch. It works all night. And so for you to get into deep sleep, you may end up having to do a lot of stretches and get the stress out of your muscles before you can actually relax and go to sleep. Journaling can also be valuable if you have certain food allergies. For instance, in my son's case, guess what? He was allergic to baked potato. What do you think my favorite thing was to fix for a meal? It would be baked potato. No wonder he slept through homework. And fourth, you want to find a facility that knows how to fill in the gaps for this twice exceptional population. They think faster than anybody in school, but you need to know how to tap into their problem areas. You've got to deal with their giftedness, deal with their disabilities. You use your strengths to bring up their disabilities. You have to think out of the box and be very creative. If you just do rote drill, you're going to lose them every time. No child needs to work this hard with unsatisfactory results. They need a way so that they can rise to their potential. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. Thank you.